mean, it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. was, being brought back from Marvel to play Doctor Doom. I mean, it looks like he's replacing your villain, Kang. I mean, are you hurt with the new direction that, Marvel is, going?
Yeah, heartbroken.
You are?
Yeah, of course. Come on. Yeah, of course. I love him. I love Kang.
I mean,
Doctor Doom is wicked though.
Oh yeah, it is good. It's gonna be good. I mean, both Robert Downey Jr. and Ezra Miller have had a history of trouble with the law and getting arrested for felonies. I mean, you only had a misdemeanor. Do you feel like it's unfair that you're not being given the same opportunities as them?
Damn. I think it's fair that Mr. Downey is being and has been greeted with patience and curiosity and love, and that Mr. Miller's gotten the same treatment, and that they're being allowed to work their art and be creative at that level. It's not. I didn't really get that. So,
Do you wish you had the same opportunity as them?
I mean, that's hard. I mean, come on. Yeah.
I mean, why do you think that's the case though? For them?
Wow. I don't know.
Would you want your old role back, your old job back as Kang the Conqueror?
Kang?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love him. That's why I said I love him. I love him. I love Kang. Love Timeless. Love He Who Remains. Love him. If that's what the fans want, if that's what Marvel wants, let's roll. Hell yeah.
Okay, so y'all just saw that. Well, you didn't see it, but you heard that audio clip right there from TMZ, and I had to actually post it like this instead of playing the video itself because TMZ can be funny sometimes when it comes to the copyright, and I know this from experience, and I'm not trying to deal with it, so I know putting the overlay with the screenshot with the audio playing in the background, I should be good. But first, before I even get into this, I have to give a shout out to the Dre Mac Show, and if you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and subscribe to that brother's channel. He's actually been on my channel before. He's actually come up and spoken a couple of times about different topics that I have done. What I'll do is I'll link his channel so you can go subscribe, because he has been literally on a crusade with the whole Jonathan Majors situation since the beginning, way more than I have, because I have to spread my content out a little bit, whereas he can definitely speak on it at a more extensive length. And it was through his channel that I actually found out about this right here. Otherwise I wouldn't have known about it, to be quite honest with you. So shout out to him. So this was a clip from TMZ where I believe Jonathan Majors looks like he was walking out of the gym. He definitely looked like he just got done with a workout, and he was excuse me, he was walking. I'm guessing maybe he was going home, and he had a drink in his hand, and a reporter from TMZ basically came up to him and asked him about how did he feel about Robert Downey Jr. being cast to play Doctor Doom in the Avengers movie that's set to come out in 2026. Now, if y'all are unaware, at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, they had announced that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. It was a surprising announcement because nobody saw it coming, and usually at Comic-Con is usually when they do those kind of announcements that they were announcing the upcoming 2 Avengers movies, one called Avengers Doomsday, which was called Kang Dynasty, but then they changed it because of everything going on with Jonathan Majors, unfortunately, and then the one that's coming out in 2027 called Secret Wars, which was always going to be Secret Wars. It was never called something else. So this one was called Doomsday. And they figure, so now we're shifting away from Kang the Conqueror and we're going with Doctor Doom, because Fantastic Four is coming out next year, and we all know Doctor Doom is a pivotal villain in the Fantastic Four universe. He's actually their main villain. So the reporter was just basically asking him questions about how did he feel about that, and of course naturally this is how he's gonna feel, because he says he's heartbroken because he really loved playing that character, and he did a phenomenal job playing Kang the Conqueror, and even the variants such as Victor Timely and He Who Remains, for those of y'all who watched the Loki series. And then, of course, what he did in Ant-Man and the Wasp, in my opinion, he was the best part of that movie. And I think anybody who had anything good to say about that movie would agree that he was the good part of it, if nothing else was. And he's basically just telling this person, like, yeah, like, I really enjoy playing this part. And then the reporter asked, and didn't take no time either, asking this question, like, you know, about Robert Downey Jr. and Ezra Miller and their past convictions or crimes and everything like that. Because for those of y'all who don't know, Robert Downey Jr. has quite the past. He has quite the, I say, checkered past, that he actually was, let's just put it this way, if he was in Jonathan Majors' position, he would have only had to do one of those things and his career probably would have been done. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read a little bit that TMZ posted on their website about Robert Downey Jr. It says, interesting, RDJ himself did jail time in the 90s after being found guilty of possession of a controlled substance, carrying a concealed weapon and a vehicle with a prior conviction, driving under the influence and using a controlled substance. However, the Oscar winner later received a full pardon in 2015 from then California Governor Jerry Brown. And then they also go in there and they talk about Ezra Miller, who played Barry Allen in The Flash in the DC Extended Universe, similarly kept his superhero job, though he faced a number of troubling allegations in recent years, including harassment and grooming. And the reporter naturally asked him, basically in so many words, she didn't say it, but I'll say it for you. Do you think that if you was a white man in Hollywood doing all of these things, do you think you would have been able to keep your job as Kane the Conqueror? And if you noticed, Jonathan Majors kind of hesitated to answer that question, and I really wish he would have kept it real and said, yes, the difference between me and them is that these are white actors and I'm a black actor, and I'm a newcomer in the game, just having a rising star, and now they pretty much threw me out on my ass. Now, I know he wasn't going to say it like that because I know he's trying to be as politically correct as he can, just in case the call comes and, you know, he has to answer the phone or he wants to answer the phone. But at the end of the day, I feel, in my opinion, Marvel did him dirty. And see, this is me being very unbiased. Yes, I can sit here and say that I love the MCU, and yes, the MCU definitely has had some hiccups along the way, especially in this latest phase. I couldn't even tell you what phase they're in right now, to be quite honest with you. I just watched Deadpool and Wolverine, which in my opinion was a phenomenal movie. I can sit here and say how great that movie was, but still criticize them at the end of the day. A lot of people were taken aback, believe it or not, about the reveal of Robert Downey Jr. being Dr. Doom in this upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie that comes out in 2026, or supposed to come out in 2026. Many people aren't really upset that we know Robert Downey Jr. Some people are just mad that, you know, why didn't they just cast somebody else in that role, considering we've already seen Robert Downey Jr. do Iron Man since 2008. And his character of Iron Man is pretty much, well, deceased. No spoilers here, you should have seen Endgame by now, and if you haven't, then, you know, there it is. So yes, Jonathan Majors definitely feels slighted because he didn't get a chance to, as the Dre Mack Show would say, finish what he started. They basically just tossed him to the side and just didn't let him complete it. Now, what they should have did is, if they were going to be done with the Kane the Conqueror character or any of its variants, let him have a cycling out where, okay, we're gonna smoothly transition him out so we can transition Dr. Doom in, and do it organically. Not do what they did, like just completely get rid of him and then go off the rails and do this. Because another thing that keeps coming up is people upset naturally because they would not recast the T'Challa character after Chadwick Boseman passed away. They literally just said, okay, we're going to just not recast because Chadwick Boseman brought this, that, and the third to the character. But I could have sworn, I think I read somewhere that if something was to happen, that he would be fine if someone was, you know, if they recasted that character, because T'Challa as Black Panther has so much more story left there. And I said one of the main reasons I was pulling for this Black Panther movie, or Black Panther in general, is because I wanted to see if they was actually going to execute that T'Challa and Storm wedding. I wanted to see it. Now, my hopes of seeing that is probably going to be tossed out of the window, and that's very unfortunate how all of that just played out. And a lot of people are now looking at Marvel sideways, like, So you do this with Kane the Conqueror, starring Jonathan Majors. You don't recast T'Challa. You basically killed his character in almost every iteration you could think of. And he is the king of a whole nation and a lead. So now people are looking at Marvel sideways like, what's up with y'all and how y'all are treating these black characters? And in the case of Jonathan Majors, black actors playing these characters, because Kane the Conqueror is actually not even, comic book wise, not even a black character. He's actually a white character, a descendant of Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. But they just happen to make him black in this iteration because they thought that Jonathan Majors did such a good job playing this role in all of its variants, which he really pulled off. So now people are looking at Marvel sideways. Some people are even suggesting that Jonathan Majors take his talents over to the DC, knock on James Gunn's door. But one thing I gotta criticize DC on is they, to my knowledge, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they have casted a lead black character or a black-led comic book superhero character ever in any of their films. And I'm talking about from the first Batman movie in 1989 all the way to this upcoming Joker movie, which is like a DC Elseworld, but it's still a DC property that's coming out in October. I don't think they've had a black-led one, but they've had supporting characters, and when they did, they sidelined the hell out of Cyborg in the Justice League. They completely omitted his whole story. You had to wait to see the Snyder Cut, 3 or 4 years later, just to get a somewhat of a decent story out of that, and even then, some people still didn't appreciate how that played out. So, I'm not surprised by this. That is exactly why I was so appreciative of shows that came out recently like Supercell, where granted, yes, and let me give the disclaimer, yes, we know they are not foundational black Americans. However, you have a show that is ran by a black man, casted black actors who are all like the main core of the group, who all have superhero based powers, and they linked it to sickle cell, which we all know heavily affects black people. Original story with original characters, solid show. I'm just waiting for them to announce a season 2. And it was so good. I don't think I have ran across anybody who has told me they did not like that show. And every time I see him post on Instagram, I'll admit I troll them a little bit, talking about how, hey, when's that season 2 coming? I'm just waiting for the announcement. And then also, I'm gonna just be optimistic, when season 2 comes, please add on additional episodes, because 6 just simply wasn't enough. I'm just being completely honest. And also, speaking of Marvel, now that I think about it, I didn't think about this one, the firing of Bo DeMayo, who hands down handed, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best animated series that came out this year. And probably up there with some of the live action shows, with X-Men 97. Remember, I did a video about him back in March, that he ended up getting fired from Marvel, and we still don't know why. Allegedly, the thing is going out there is because he had an OnlyFans, but I'm sitting here saying to myself, I think he had the OnlyFans before or while he was making this series. Why now did he get fired? And to this day, it's still a mystery as to why this man was fired from the show. Now they got a new showrunner in, and now they're going to switch some stuff up because they can't really use Bo DeMayo stuff, and he's not technically attached to the show anymore, even though he pretty much had a complete second season done. Now they're switching some stuff around while keeping some of his stuff in, and it's kind of a gamble because you don't know which direction they're going to go. And it's sad because like the show was great, another show I didn't have any complaints about, and then that happens. So yeah, Marvel got some explaining to do. The Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, the people over there, Nate Moore, y'all got some serious explaining to do. But you know what? You have explaining to do, but you're not obligated to tell us, because at the end of the day, we don't work for you, and you don't work for us. So if y'all are leaving it right there, it is what it is. But I wonder, based on what Jonathan Majors said right here in this, well, I guess you can say off the cuff interview with TMZ as he's walking down the street, will what he says get back to those over at Marvel? And also, I would like to know if anybody else who are fans of the MCU, what is their take on this right here? Because these are questions I'm sure people have been wanting to get answers from, as far as Jonathan Majors goes, for quite some time now, because they never really knew his stance on it. And I'm glad that they actually approached him about it in a professional way. and he was able to answer the questions and not be standoffish about it. But at the end of the day, he was kind of politically correct with his response. I know why he did it. I get it. However, had it been me, I would have just let it rip, because at the end of the day, the company you think actually had your back really didn't. They really shut you down and pretty much did what Blacklight Revelations talks about all the time, and that's lockout, blockout. They literally pulled a lockout, blockout against Jonathan Majors, and that's not cool. In my opinion, also, is not that professional either, especially for a company like that. But then again, it is owned by Disney, so you got to take what you get with a grain of salt. I almost forgot to mention this part right here, and it's crazy because it seems like Marvel has seemed to have forgotten about it. Poor Mahershala Ali, two-time Oscar winner, and he brought Blade to them, or wanting to do Blade, and they agreed to do Blade back in 2019 at the San Diego Comic-Con. And they got everybody in Hall H excited. They got the internet excited as well, because we know how beloved the character like Blade is. And shout out to Wesley Snipes for bringing that character to life and saving Marvel as a whole from basically going under. And that film has gone through so much crap ever since it got announced. 2020 is understandable because everybody got hit by that. Then it got hit by multiple director changes, multiple script changes, people coming into the cast, people leaving the cast, a whole bunch of stuff. And not one thing to my knowledge has been filmed as of yet. Hell, we even got a trailer drop, an unexpected trailer drop for a Blade video game that's supposed to be coming out next year, before we got a teaser of the Blade film. And it's been movies that have been announced after that that are about to come out. Some of them have already come out, whether it's a movie or a television series. So again, and the thing is, if y'all remember, I actually spoke about this a few months ago, and we still haven't even left off of peg one when it comes to this movie. If y'all saw the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, it was kind of a slight dig at that in the movie, when Wesley Snipes' character, who replies himself as Blade in one of the cameos, actually kind of took a dig at Marvel with that one. So yeah, this goes right back to my initial point, that it's something really fishy going on over there at Marvel, and I think we can put two and two together of what that is.